Wednesday Addams isn't your typical teenager. She's independent, never wanting to join in on any social groups, not really having any attachments at all, really, besides her brother. Wednesday is looked upon as an oddball to some and a menace to others. I feel like there's a lot more to her than just these two facets. Let's take a closer look into the mind of Wednesday Addams to figure out if she's really as kooky as she appears.
I prefer spooky.
Major spoilers ahead to the new Wednesday show, so watch at your own risk. When we first meet Wednesday, we see just how different she is from her peers, wearing black with white crossbones, whereas everyone else is wearing bright neon colors. This has been done before in Addams Family Values, with Pugsley and Wednesday attending summer camp. Within the film and this show, the outcome is the same. Wednesday causes havoc, traumatizing multiple people in the process. In the show, everything changes when she transfers to Nevermore, a school for gifted individuals with special abilities. Within this newfound world, the line between what's considered a freak or an outcast gets muddled. Just like at the other school, Wednesday is looked upon as the school weirdo, but this doesn't get her down, using her sarcastic wit to feed into the narrative of being the monster that everyone should fear. Why does she do this? Wednesday doesn't really care how people perceive her, thinking 1, it's a waste of time to deal with such trivial things, and 2, she doesn't need affirmation from others to define who she is. This is not a shield or a facade to spare her feelings. She truly just does not care what others think, wanting people to stay clear because it'll help her stay focused on her goals. In the beginning, her short-term goal is to escape this educational penitentiary. She easily does so until she runs into Tyler and his stupid coffee machine that needs to be fixed, placing her back to Nevermore. As mysteries start to present themselves, she becomes intrigued, changing her short-term goal to uncovering the truth about the small town of Jericho. Her long-term goal is to write a novel at a younger age than her literary hero and nemesis, Mary Shelley, the author of Frankenstein. Wednesday is a very competitive individual, thinking that everything is a competition. She can always do better. There is always a higher bar to strive towards. When she first arrives to Nevermore, her personal philosophy gets challenged, seeing it as a place where she'll never escape from the shadow of Morticia's school achievements. She'll never be as respected or popular as her mother. Most importantly, her originality is threatened. It doesn't help that the principal of the school was Morticia's roommate, who constantly compares them. I gotta give props to actress Gwendoline Christie here. She embodies the character really well. Also, this is just a very different role than we saw from her in Game of Thrones or Star Wars. Wednesday isn't her mother, nor does she want to be. However, that doesn't stop her from trying, knowing the best way to beat her mother is through the fencing team. At age 5, Wednesday picked up her first fencing blade, mastering her craft ever since. Unfortunately, it's not enough. The queen bee herself, Bianca Barclay, defeats her. I just have to say that this is the second most interesting fencing fight I have ever seen. If you wanted to know, the first is Lindsay Lohan versus Lindsay Lohan in The Parent Trap. Bianca is the Morticia of her grade. After getting beat, Wednesday has to rethink her place at this school. One of the things that makes Wednesday Wednesday is her ability to look out for other oddballs. When her brother gets bullied, it's her who steps in to stop it. When the outcast among the outcast, Rowan, gets beat by Bianca, she yet again steps in to protect the losers. I really like how this show sets Rowan up as this character like Joel from Addams Family Values, and then flips the script, having him threaten her life. It's an interesting turn of events. Thanks to a literal monster and this Xavier guy, Wednesday survives her first week of classes. Rowan and her brother aren't the only ones that she pledges to protect. Eugene, a wacky kid who loves bees, becomes one of Wednesday's best friends, helping her break into a restricted area of Pilgrim World and scoping out a cave where the monster could be lurking. In her eyes, Eugene reminds her of her brother. He's soft and vulnerable and a target for others to pick on. As much as Wednesday loves to poke fun at her brother and others like him, she hates when others are out of line. If she deems an individual to be worthy, she will be the loyalist of friends, doing anything in her power to shield them from the cruel world around them. You know, now that I think about it, Wednesday is basically the human version of a Rottweiler. She's not everyone's cup of tea, but if you give her the time, she'll be loyal and protective to the very end. In turn, Eugene offers Wednesday a respectable friendship where he doesn't ask questions. Their friendship is easy and doesn't require her to think or feel too much. Where with Eden, how do you pronounce this? Enid. That is a weird word to say. Sorry to those who live in Eden, Oklahoma. Probably gonna pronounce your city wrong. Enid is Wednesday's opposite. She's the school gossip, the embodiment of school spirit. Also, her side of the room looks like a rainbow vomited. Unlike Eugene, who mindlessly follows Wednesday, Enid questions her actions. She's not easily fazed by the snarky goth girl act, stating that things are different at this school. At first, Wednesday does what Wednesday always does, by pushing her away. Enid isn't like others. The more Wednesday tries to push her away, the closer she gets. In a strange way, their platonic relationship is very similar to the Black Cat short story by Edgar Allan Poe, the same story that they choose for the Poe Cup. In the story, the unreliable narrator finds a cat who looks very similar to Pluto, his late cat that met his demise by his hand. Due to his guilt for hurting the previous innocent animal, the narrator starts to hate the cat more and more, causing the cat to like him even more, driving the man insane. There is honestly way more to that story than just that. I'd recommend you read it if you haven't already. Connecting this back to the show, Wednesday is the unreliable narrator in both this story and another that we'll touch upon later. Enid is the cat that will not leave the narrator alone. The biggest difference between the short story and their friendship is Wednesday evolves, whereas the narrator does not, helping Enid find confidence within herself to not apologize for being who she is. Wednesday finds someone that will listen and challenge her ideas in a non-judgmental way. They may be opposites, but both have a mutual understanding that makes them fundamentally work. Random thing to point out, when it comes to the other Poe Cup short stories that were chosen, like Hop Frog and The Gold Bug, both are represented in the show's plot as well. Hop Frog is a story of a jester outcast who punishes a cruel king for his wrongdoings of hurting an innocent girl. That same type of plot is presented with Ajax, a Gorgon who is looked upon as the jester of the school, that saves Enid from a group of pilgrim jerks. Bianca's team picks the Gold Bug, a deceptive story that sees a trio of 3 individuals finding pirate treasure. Bianca's personality is pretty similar to this gold bug. On the outside, the insect looks like a skull that tells people to stay clear, just like how a siren makes you question whether you can trust it or not. In the end, neither the siren nor the gold bug is to blame, because they're just tools that individuals use to get rich off of. None of this has anything to do with Wednesday Addams, but I found the parallels extremely interesting. A point of interest is Wednesday's flaws. As much as she would like to be looked upon as a star detective, she kind of falls flat time and time again. It doesn't mean that she's not cunning, but she does get beat most of the time. Not by others, but from Wednesday's greatest enemy of all, herself. As her mother puts it, "You are a brilliant girl, Wednesday, but sometimes you get in your own way," which is most certainly what she does, becoming obsessed with finding the truth that she's blind to others' well-being, berating Thing for losing a lead, falsely accusing her therapist and Xavier because it fits the narrative in her head. Most importantly, endangering the lives of Eugene and Enid. For Eugene, it's kind of his own fault, but Wednesday did bring him into the investigation. Wednesday sets everyone to the same standard that she sets for herself. When people fail her in some way, shape, or form, she becomes wary of them very quickly. A good example is Xavier. There are two things that Xavier does that makes Wednesday want to cut him loose. One is that he doesn't believe her with both the monster and her visions, dismissive of what she believes to be true, which is one thing to never do to a character like Wednesday Addams. For you see, she may have gotten the criminals wrong the first time around, but Wednesday, with a little help from Goody Addams, was able to uncover the truth of Jericho and free her father from jail. Xavier explaining that her visions aren't rational puts the first wedge between them. 2, he's too obsessed with the girl he thinks he knows, instead of the girl she is. Wednesday is an independent thinker, who strives to be as original as possible. For someone to come in and peg her as someone she isn't frustrates her to no end. The reason she gets along with people like Enid, Tyler, and Eugene is that she's free to share what she wants while still having an air of mystery. And in the end, they're able to work it out. Maybe. I find their friendship quite confusing and a little frustrating at times. Kinda reminds me of Cora and Mako. Wednesday is a brilliant individual when it comes to problem solving. Give her the time and she'll be able to solve anything that's thrown at her. If you throw Wednesday into a therapy session to chat about her feelings, she'd rather jump out the window or dodge every question. Emotions are a big waste of time, not because she doesn't have them. In both a flashback and present day, Wednesday does shed some tears, crying in the past about her pet scorpion, and in the present for almost losing Thing. Also, as much as she's uncomfortable with it, she does try to cheer up Enid. Emotions aren't Wednesday's strong suit. For the court to order her to attend therapy sessions twice a week make it even worse. Wednesday has never been one to like authority. When Principal Weebs tells her to stop looking for trouble, Wednesday does is the exact opposite. So for her therapist to consistently ask her to open up is not helpful whatsoever, making her feel like she's stepping into a trap. From the beginning, Wednesday doesn't trust this therapist, irritated that she's snooping around in her private life. Wednesday values her privacy, only opening up to those she deems worthy. This therapist, thinking she's already earned her trust, only pushes Wednesday deeper within herself. When emotions get involved, her first instinct is to retreat. As she gets more attached to others, emotions become a constant topic. People don't know whether she's playing a game or truly cares. Her single-mindedness is what blinds her from others' feelings, thinking that her goals and her goals alone are more important than anything else. When the Raven becomes a topic of the peers around her, she finds it tedious. Both Xavier and Tyler question her motives, which ends up confusing her even more, not knowing how to respond. She does end up going, thanks to Thing, and in turn, we get a wacky Wednesday dance, which is one of my favorite parts of the show. That and the scene where she attempts to ask Xavier to the dance. All in all, great performance by Jenna Ortega here. As the story progresses, Wednesday embraces her emotions more, feeling guilty that she wasn't there for Eugene, missing Enid when she doesn't want to be Wednesday's roommate anymore. Despite all this, she's not going to openly admit these feelings. They're irrational and she doesn't know how to use them, making Tyler seem like a perfect guy for her because she can open up on her own terms, falling for a literal psycho killer who has no remorse for his actions. It's a tad ironic, given that most of her peers think that she's a homicidal maniac. When those who trust her are pushed away, Wednesday becomes a danger to herself and others, because it makes her have a more cynical outlook on life, thinking she's destined to live in solitude. That's what Goody tells her in a vision. her psychic powers make her a raven. This means two important things: that her visions are more powerful and potent. Without the right training, it can lead to madness. 2, the only thing that she'll see in others is darkness. This is a constant struggle for Wednesday, being socially clueless and thinking that it's better to dissolve all attachments and be a lone wolf. Be like the unreliable narrator in Edgar Allan Poe's poem The Raven, driven to madness by the loss of his wife and of a raven that sings nevermore. The guilt and sadness eats him alive, just like Wednesday. If she's not careful, she's doomed to repeat both the narrator's stories. Both are driven mad by the thoughts that plague them. That's what makes a character like Wednesday so interesting, because her mind is her greatest asset, but it's also her greatest obstacle. With a little help from others and some exploration outside of her comfort zone, Wednesday is able to avoid the madness, still looking at the world in black and white, but understanding that there are some splashes of gray. Who is Wednesday Addams? Well, she's determined, ambitious, and fiercely independent, with some flaws that cause her to be arrogant and emotionally dismissive. Despite all this, she is trying to evolve, and trying her best to keep an open mind. Hopefully we see more of this in season 2. Seriously, I want a season 2. Netflix, make it happen. I love taking a deeper look into different types of characters. Please let me know if there's anything that I missed from this wonderful show or the character. If you like this video, you might enjoy this video right here. I hope you guys have a lovely day, and I'll see you next time.